Welcome to the Wisdom of Show. I'm your host, Simon Bowen, and every week I'm speaking to the world's greatest leaders, thinkers, and entrepreneurs about complex issues and impactful leadership. Join us in the Renaissance of Wisdom. Well, welcome to this episode of the Wisdom of, and my guest today is the founder and now chair of the board of what is an iconic Australian franchise system, Fernwood Fitness, women's only fitness clubs around Australia, been in existence for 36 years. And Diana Williams started it. I think Diana in a hall or...
Yeah, in an abandoned schoolroom, actually.
An abandoned schoolroom.
In the back streets of Bendigo.
Yes. And, it just has become a franchise powerhouse here in Australia. 36 years, just some simple numbers, right? 73 clubs, 90,000 members, 2,200 employees, and, $75 million in annual turnover. You changed the category. You redefined gyms, right? And redefined the category, particularly for, women in the gym and fitness world. And so welcome, Di, to the podcast. I'm thrilled to have you on here. I love hearing Australian business success stories and the things that Australian entrepreneurs are doing. So thank you for taking the time to spend with us today.
Thank you for the invitation, Simon. I look forward to sharing my story with you.
Fantastic. It's a bold story, really. I'm going to go and find an abandoned classroom in a school, and I'm going to see if women want to join a gym that is for women only. Let's just do the exploration of that early stage, right? Because had you even had any experience in business at that point?
No.
What triggered it,
Yeah, it was not intended to be a business, to be quite honest. Well, it was a business, but I went to a gym, a mixed gym, of course. There were no women's gyms. And I saw a need for a place where women could work out by themselves in their own company, but do some serious workouts, because I loved strength training. I loved weight training. Women didn't do weight training back then because it was something that blokes did, and so women just didn't do it. They did aerobics, which was called aerobics back then. But when I did do weight training, I was so impressed with the impact that had on me physically and emotionally, that more women should do it, because we don't have naturally built muscles the way men do. So I just thought I'd start up this little business to see if other women wanted to come along and join me in doing this working out. So that's what this started. It was never intended to be, even though it was a business, it was not intended to be a big business. It was never intended to be a national business, that's for sure. It was only a little place where I got myself qualified as a gym instructor, got this abandoned schoolroom, and decked it all out with second-hand equipment. And that's where it all started. So it was not. I didn't sit back and do like, okay, let me write a business plan and a cash flow forecast or any of that. There was none of that. None of that happened at all. It was just purely. I sent letters out to all of the local hairdressers in Bendigo and told them that I was opening up this gym for women. That was a big marketing launch. And a few women came and joined up, and then a few more came, and within 6 months we had wall-to-wall members, and we had to go and get bigger premises in the heart of Bendigo. So we're only in that schoolroom for a very short amount of time. Then it became a bigger business and a more serious business, because I had to pay big rent and, everything that goes along with having a much bigger business. And I'm one of those people who won't leave something alone. I'm like a dog with a bone, and I'm just at it, making it better, improving it all of the time. So it turned into something that has been hugely successful now. But if you had have told me back then that I was going to be the chairman of the board of this national company, and that I would be doing podcasts with people like you, or that I would be doing any public speaking, I would have run a million miles. I would have said, no way, that is not me, that's not who I am, but it's all baby steps, isn't it? Just to sort of put dash of paint on the easel, and then a bit more and a bit more, and it grows into something. Because as I said, I would have run a million miles if you told me this is what I had to do back then, 36 years ago.
And isn't that the truth? In today's world, with the information available to people and AI and things like that, there's this idea that you have to have mapped out, the plan and have the big vision set and everything else. But, the most powerful thing you can do is just take a first step. I love the analogy. Put the first brush stroke of paint onto the canvas.
Yeah.
A painting is a whole lot of brush strokes.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's the same.
Added one after the
Yeah.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that story. I mean, as we are today, you've been inducted into the Australian Franchise Council Hall of Fame. This is you've just won a couple of Stevie Awards.
Yeah.
The company has ticked some pretty big boxes.
Yeah.
And you've changed the category. I mean, you created women's gyms in Australia, really, and
Yes.
I don't remember anything at the time that existed until Fernwood came out, and
it didn't. Yeah.
that thrust you into interesting conversations around discrimination against men.
Absolutely.
I remember that stuff happening.
Probably wouldn't get away with it today if I started doing it today. Maybe, I don't know. But I've had a few interesting conversations. We had, obviously, it never dawned on me that this was something that you couldn't do or shouldn't do, and it is discriminating. But I did it anyway. And then when we franchised, I went to the Equal Opportunities Commission and got an exemption, because obviously I was taking people's money then. And so I got an exemption and explained, in my mind, it was discriminating against women who couldn't exercise in front of men if we didn't have Fernwood, because there's a lot of women out there for the religious reasons or social reasons or something that's happened in their life that they can't exercise in front of men. So they have nowhere else to exercise except in a women's only gym, whereas men can, people can choose to go to a unisex gym. So that got the exemption for me. There was an incident that happened that we, I'll tell you, the shopping centre at the Alternate Shopping Centre in Melbourne, they approached me about 3 or 4 years after we'd started, and they had a gym there that had the tenants weren't paying the rent, and asked would Fernwood like to go into that space, and I said yes we would. And so I said, what do we do about those male members? And he said, we'll get the local gyms in Alternate to take the male members, and you can have the ladies that go to the gym and everyone will be happy. So we went in and we painted it all and put our signs up over the weekend. I wasn't there the day on the Monday when we opened as a Fernwood, but all these men turned up with their gym gear ready to do a workout because no one had told them. And there was all hell to pay. There was police everywhere and television cameras and security guards because the men had thought, they didn't know, no one had told them that this was no longer going to be a mixed gym. Anyway, long story short, we got the best publicity from that because there was all on the national news and all around Australia of this gym now that and it really catapulted us into the stratosphere, and it came to what is Fernwood, because people all of a sudden knew what Fernwood was. Prior to that, they thought maybe it was a nursery or something. So we went back to the Equal Opportunities again because they complained, and we won that case. We did pay out a couple of members of the males who were having difficulties with this, but yes, we've had a few interesting times being women.
It is interesting, and of course it's free publicity too, which is a bonus. And it is interesting. I mean, the whole discrimination issue, if a group of people just do not have an opportunity for something, that is discrimination. And if the other group of people have lots of alternatives, there's a whole debate in there. Have you ever thought about whether a men's only gym, I don't even know if they exist, have you ever thought about whether a men's only gym would work?
Well, not by me, because I don't know what men want. I know what women want, but I don't know what
men. But knowing the gym world,
I think it may. But I know. I think maybe when I started the gym in Bendigo, there were a lot of other mixed gyms in Bendigo. And when I started Fernwood, a lot of the women left that gym and came to Fernwood, and the men were not happy that the women weren't there anymore.
Mhm.
So I think maybe one of the things that men like about gyms is having the women there, and maybe not just men. I don't know.
Well, at the heart of my question, actually, the reason I asked about would men's only gyms work is, you perhaps stumbled into, but the power of a clearly understood niche. You discovered something that niche
Yeah.
of women who wanted to be in a gym and to pursue fitness pursuits, wanted in the gym. And so, one of the adages of business, right, is find your niche and stick to it. And it's really important to understand, for anyone young starting a business, understand your niche deeper
That's
than
right.
everybody else,
Yeah.
and then defend it, actually.
That's right, and stick with it, because I think one of the tempting things in business is to see competitors coming into the marketplace and thinking, "Oh, well, I could do that too, or I could do that too," and I've never done that. I've always been aware of the competitors, but I've never tried to copy them. We do what we do better than we did before. Not necessarily better than them, but we just keep improving on what we do. So I think it can be quite dangerous to start jumping from this to that because somebody else comes into the market that's doing something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think there's a paradigm in there around customers and what the customers experience with you. I have a model that I work through, which are the 4 levels of customer experience. Right now, the first level of customer experience at the base is you disappoint them. They buy from you, but the experience is not great and you disappoint them. The next level up is they buy from you, you just deliver what was promised.
Yeah.
Here's a gym with equipment, have at it, right? The
Yeah.
next level up is you delight them. It's an experience that surpasses what they were expecting.
Yeah.
And that's often where a lot of companies end, at the delight level. I think there's a level above that. And I think the level above that is where you defend your customer. You defend their right to access the value that you're creating.
Yeah.
And I wonder if in the Fernwood story, a part of that whole publicity that was going on was you had women around the country saying, this woman's defending our rights to have access to a gym without men in it. Whether men like that or not, you were in the business of defending women's rights to have access to a gym. You were prepared to go to court over it. And that's a much higher level of customer experience.
Well, it is. And also I have to say that it's not necessarily just me. Our members feel very passionate about our brand as well. So they defend it. And so it's not just me. I think that's one of the core reasons of Fernwood's success is because it's been developed for the members, by the members. They created it, being in a single sex environment where they're all very happy and they know each other and there's no judgment, and it's a great environment to be in. And our members, some of our members, there are members I signed up 36 years ago who are still members, There's actually one staff member who is still working for Fernwood. I employed 36 years ago. So, that's good, isn't it? And
That's
I think
fantastic.
that's the loyalty that the brand has created. I can't say I did it. It's happened because we've got a collective group of women all feeling an ownership mentality to what the brand is.
Well, I think if you defend your customers' right to access the value you create, your customers will defend you.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a different dynamic. So you're in an abandoned schoolroom in Bendigo, and it grew quite quickly. You had to move out of that. But was there something that you kind of recognized or saw that in the back of your mind caused you to think this thing's big? Like we're not just moving to bigger premises because in 6 months it grew.
Yeah.
Did you see something that, and maybe something that other entrepreneurs might know, did you see something that let you think this is actually huge?
Yeah, well, I think one particular picture in my mind is when we were starting a class, and there was all these women would come in and they'd line up to waiting for the next class to go on. It was just that was one particular thing. Another thing, we'd have quite a lot of members would come in and they'd bring friends from out of town, and they would say, "Oh, I wish there was one of these where I come from. I'd love one of these where I live." So that got this brain thinking a little bit. And then another time, I was in Sydney at a fitness convention, and the keynote speaker was an American, and he said that the future of fitness in Australia would be chains of international gyms coming in and dominating the marketplace in Australia. And silly me thought, "Oh no, they'll come to Bendigo and put me out of business." I think we should be a chain too.
Right.
So that was basically the number one thing that actually got me thinking, okay, I need to defend what we've got here and become a chain as well. So, yeah.
Right.
And I contacted a franchise consultant because I read about franchising. One of the other dilemmas I had was I loved the business so much. I went from being a stay-at-home mum with teenage children to being a never-at-home mum, I was all in love with my new business. My kids were sort of at high school leaving age, so my time was fairly free. And I spent all my time in the business. I'd go in there at 6 o'clock and open up, and I'd do workout with the members in the morning and chat with them all day, and then wave goodbye to them at 8 o'clock at night. Then I'd go home. And so I thought, how am I going to expand this business? Because I can't do that. How am I going to get staff to do what I did? And, or fall in love with the members and wanting to be their friend and wanting to make it a community of women. And franchising to me seemed to be the perfect solution to that, where you have a franchisee who's a mini me in their own business, all around Australia, looking after the members and being passionate about them and having that ownership mentality that I had.
Well, that is the founder's nemesis, isn't it? How do I get a bigger business to do what I do?
Yes.
Bring the magic to it. And, I know that a part of what attracted you to franchising was that they are owners.
Yeah.
And so they have that, they have that invested interest in it. But, you franchised by 1995, you had 14 clubs across 4 states. I want to come to the profit purpose interface in a minute, because I know a big part of your franchising model was to really defend the franchisee's profitability. But I want to step back first and think about was there a thought process for where you would go to first in terms of the next venues to open?
Yes, it's a bit like my business plan. It didn't exist. Oh, yes, we'll open one in Queensland. Oh, yes, we'll open one in Adelaide. Why not? Yes, wherever anyone wanted to open one, we opened one. We didn't open in Sydney because there was another competitor like us come in from New Zealand and was opening women's only gyms. So that was strategic. Went everywhere else except Sydney.
Yeah.
They didn't stay in business very long. So we ended up going to Sydney, but no, there was no, I think that when you start a business like a franchise, you only get a small percentage of the turnover as income. So we get 7% of the turnover comes to Fernwood head office to support all of the franchisees. So when you've got 1 or 2 franchisees, they expect you to be like McDonald's. They bought into a franchise. They're expecting to be on television, and they're expecting to have this 5-star service, and the money wasn't there. So the secret is to get to a critical mass as quickly as possible. And that was basically the reason we did expand really quickly and not too strategically, because we needed to get the cash in the door to be able to grow the business. And so we ended up with a critical mess rather than a critical mass, actually, because I had franchisees all over Australia doing their own thing. I'm trying to enforce compliance, and it was. Yeah. I look back and laugh, but it was a little bit frustrating at the time.
I love that, critical mess as opposed to critical mass.
Yes.
But just as a side note, out of interest, what was your professional life before Fernwood?
Oh well, I when I was before I was married, I
Mhm.
worked at a television station in an administration role. Television was new to Australia back then, so it was all very new and exciting and a wonderful place to work. Then I got married and I had two children. And back then, women didn't work after they had children; they stayed home and raised a family. So I'd been a stay-at-home mum for years.
Yeah.
While I was at home, I did do education. I did an accountancy course and, a few things like that. But I had no business experience. My husband owned a business, a retail business. So I helped him with his, the administration side of that, but not so much really. So no, I had no business acumen to be boasting about.
So it's it's an interesting thought, isn't it? Would you have done it the same way had
Yeah.
you come with a lot of I don't know baggage about what a
Yeah.
business should be like?
Oh, probably not, because I would have had to do a feasibility study and I would have had to do, all of these things to make me say, well, no, can't do that. That won't work. Franchising is a dangerous business to get into. You know, you're a
Yeah,
woman, had no business experience, and that's why the banks wouldn't lend me any money because I didn't have anything going for me really, except passion.
yeah, and so a lot of people think profit and purpose are in tension with each other. They're counter forces, and indeed, the typical franchise model is about outlet growth. Let's get
Yeah,
as many outlets as we can, and you
yeah.
prioritize franchisee profitability over out. That's a countercultural
Yeah. Mm.
franchise thinking. So, could you
It
just
is.
talk
It's
me
funny,
through?
especially well, I know Americans always talk about the number of clubs. How many clubs have you got? That's the measure of your success. To me, the measure of our success is how profitable are our franchisees. How many of our franchisees are making over $1 million a year? That excites me, not the number of clubs.
Yes.
So it's making them profitable, because then it's a never-ending story. Of course, we've got franchisees wanting to open up more clubs because they're successful, not wanting to close them because they're not. So
Yeah. So fitness is a very competitive space,
it is, isn't
and the
it?
gym space, and easily price driven if you
Mm.
don't find your unique positioning. How did you translate that um, profitability over outlets um, to the franchisee
Mm.
level? I'm guessing pre-qualification of who even gets a franchise is a very
Yeah,
big deal.
exactly. And that's not easy to actually decide who is going to be a good franchisee and who isn't when you first meet them and you go through all the processes. Some of them who interview well turn out to be not so great, and some of them who don't interview well turn out to be brilliant. So you never quite get it right. But that's the secret, is to understand the more, if you get the right franchisee, well, then life is good. If you've got a franchisee that's not so good, then it's a battle trying to train them up, trying to support them, loaning them money, getting them on their feet. It's a lot easier when we've got the right people.
Yeah.
But we will do whatever we can to make sure our franchises are successful.
So you invest in them, potentially loaning them money
Yeah.
right from the get-go.
Not from the get-go, no. But if they're struggling and they're not growing their businesses as well as they should, as well as training them, we'll support them financially to get them on their feet. And of course, there are some that just are not right for the business, so we encourage them to sell before they get themselves into trouble.
Sure. And
Mm.
you're a category leader, and you keep innovating.
Yeah.
Um, and the gyms have gone from just weights and training to nutrition and other kind of aspects, I
Mm.
guess, of women's health and
Mm.
well-being. What what's is that innovation something that you've now consciously focus on as a company? Is it just because
Uh,
you were always looking at the next thing?
Yeah, no, I'm unfortunately for me, I'm just a crazy innovator. I can't help myself. I just can't leave something alone. I've just got to keep improving it and making it better. So it just comes naturally to me. If I'm whatever it is in life, I just want to work on it and make it better. So innovation is my second name, I think.
Sure. So in a company, I've done a lot of work with very large organizations and small to medium-sized enterprises, right? Sometimes an innovative entrepreneur is the most frustrating thing for the team in the business.
Yes.
What
I,
what have you put around yourself so that you don't drive your team mad, but you still get the
I know,
innovations?
exactly. Yes, I say, well, good news, I'm going on holidays. No, yes, look, it has been very, very frustrating for the people who work for me because of that, because I know what she come up with now,
Mm,
Um, and then not every idea is a good idea. Some of them have not been, and some of them have been brilliant, but, you get a mixed bag with innovation. But I do try to be very controlled, and my team have been with me for quite a while, so they know me and I know them, so we can communicate well in that respect. Though I haven't sort of had to frighten new people all the time with all my crazy ideas.
yeah. Do you it causes me to think that a key to a highly innovative organization is actually quality of relationships
Yeah,
between the people in the organization. You've obviously got the license from your team
yeah, and
to,
I'm mindful of that. I don't be if I'm thinking of some, don't give them too many things at once. But make sure we get one thing done right, not three things or whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
I once asked, I had the opportunity in um, in a forum that I was in to ask Richard Branson how he decides that despite all the sunk cost, this thing isn't something we're going to continue to do, or how he decides to say no to something that sounds like a wonderful opportunity. If you're an innovator and it's your second name,
Mm.
there's the risk that some things that should have no said to them don't have no said to them. And there's also the risk that you keep going with something way longer than
Yeah, yeah.
you should. What mechanisms have you put around that a young entrepreneur might kind of learn from in
Yeah, I
terms
think
of,
you have to accept the fact that you were wrong early, and you don't keep trying to flog a dead horse. And um, I am very mindful of something is going to work, that I think is going to work, and it isn't working. Then I don't give it a lot of time to make it work. It either
yeah,
is or it isn't. I've got it wrong. I can change. I can pivot, do something slightly different, but then I don't just continue on because I said so. So
yeah.
mm,
Have you seen any patterns there? When something is a great idea, it generally works within 3 months,
mm,
6 months, 12 months, or if something's not a great idea, it just lingers around. Have you seen
yeah.
any patterns that help you kind of
Well,
observe that
no.
and go, no, this is not going to work. It's too long.
Yeah, I think it doesn't take very long for something. If it is a great idea, then it will get take up almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't, then you don't want to be keeping on making sure trying to make it work, because it's not the numbers don't stack up. So not really a pattern. It's more like to say, okay, I'll give it a try, but I'm okay with accepting the fact that not everything that we do is successful. And there's been an example is when I introduced not processed, prepared food, pre-prepared meals.
Yeah.
That was a great idea, I thought. And so I bought this company that made them, and I had it branded, and I put them in the fridges in all of our clubs. And I went to the supermarkets for them to take it on, and they thought I was crazy. Now they're in every supermarket. There's a whole department of prepared foods, right? I was just a bit
Yeah.
ahead of myself there, and would work today. It would work, but then this was 20 years ago,
Yeah.
and people didn't buy prepared meals. So just timing was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting.
Hmm.
You made an interesting little comment in the middle of there. The numbers don't stack up. Do you always bring your innovations back to the numbers, and what are the numbers telling you?
Yeah. Yeah, every time.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Those accounting studies obviously helped
Yeah.
out, didn't they? So, you've seen fitness and you've taken women's fitness from come to a gym, work out to now, many more things. You were trying the nutritional packaged meals and everything else. If we
Yeah.
were going to build a model, let's just divert for a second and talk about a wellness model for women,
Yeah.
particularly. If we were going to build a wellness model for women, just leaning on your 36 years of experience being in gyms with women,
Yeah.
right, particularly, and side note to all the men listening to and watching the podcast, I don't suspect it's that different for you either. If we if we actually focus on it, but your experiences with women, if you
Yeah.
think about wellness through your lens,
Yeah.
where people are coming and training and working out and things like that, what are the dimensions of that immediately come to mind for you?
So it's different to fitness.
Yeah,
Fitness is exercise and basically working out your body to get physically fit and
yeah,
to develop your muscle tone and get the physiological benefits of
yeah.
exercise. Where wellness is a different way to get fit, I suppose, where you get um, healthier from the inside by what you eat, about how well you sleep, about what you're thinking, about your breathing, about the way you're relaxed, and looking after yourself.
So if we
Mm.
actually, I won't assume it's two. If we, how many, like you're talking about, obviously you're talking about um, body
Yeah,
wellness,
yeah,
um,
mind as well.
mind as well.
Yeah.
Do you tackle anything outside of those, or are you pretty focused on body and mind?
No, that's about it, really, I think. Yeah.
So if we talk about body and mind, um, so body what and mind what? You said it's this internal health,
Yeah.
um, as opposed to fitness.
Yeah.
So it's I guess if I could take some license, body well-being and mind well-being, is that a fair statement?
And repair.
Okay, so if we pulled out elements of this,
And both body and mind repair. Yeah.
so um, they both have a repair component to them.
Yeah.
Maybe both of them have the same process, but
Yeah.
pointed in a different direction. So, what are the
Yeah.
key components if we think about body and then mind? What are the key components? If repair is one of them, what are the key components of well-being? Let's stick with body. So, you want body repair. What else would be a key component? There might not be four. There could be two. There could be three.
Could be pain relief, which is sort of different to repair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chronic pain relief.
Yep.
It can be the digestive system being healthy, a healthy digestive system.
Yep.
It could be your airways, your breathing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What would we call that? So, um, if you think of heart and lung,
Yeah.
like digestive system is food moving through,
Yeah.
heart and lung is oxygen moving through.
Yeah.
I mean, if we called them the flow systems,
Yeah. That sounds good. Yep.
so the heart and lung are the flow systems. We
Yeah.
could probably put digestive in there as well, but let's not bother for the moment. We're just doing a
Yeah.
quick model today.
We are.
What about mind well-being?
Yeah. Well, the mind's a very complex thing, isn't it? And
Yeah.
obviously we're today in our digital age, we are so busy and complicated and stressed out and trying to um, manage all of the things that come into our mind in some kind of organised way.
Mm.
We've also got all of this digital appliance, phones and everything that are in our hands, constantly reminding us and disturbing us, and um, taking our focus away from what we were doing 5 seconds ago,
So one of the things under mind is repair. In the same way that we had repair, pain relief, digestive system, and flow system. What are the big chunks of mind well-being?
Clarity.
Yep.
Stress relief.
So that's like pain relief.
Yeah.
But stress relief. Yep.
Yep. I suppose clear thinking comes under clarity.
Yeah.
Would it be positive thinking?
Yeah. So what would we call that if we didn't want to use the term positive thinking?
Okay.
Because it's overcooked.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you come up with something. I don't know. I don't know. Word it would be replace positive thinking.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the I don't want to use the word affirmation either.
No, because they're all overused, don't they?
Yeah, it is overused, but we'll just put the word positive down, but it's begging for a different label on that. When these two things, you could almost measure this. You could almost say from 1 to 10, how are you doing on repair? From 1 to 10, how are you doing on pain relief? From 1 to 10, how are you doing on digestive? And 1 to 10 in terms of flow.
Yeah.
Same on these. And if you said, you're at 10s on all of these, you're great on all of these.
Yeah.
This is going to overlap more and more and more into a single entity. And what's going to happen is this overlap bit, which is the ultimate outcome of great mind and body well-being.
Yeah.
When someone has great mind and body well-being, what is the intersection of that? What's the outcome when you've got great mind and body well-being?
Well, you're perfectly happy.
Pardon?
You're happy.
Okay, so I'm going to say you're happily unstoppable.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yep.
Sounds like a brand.
It does.
The happily unstoppable, system
absolutely.
or something.
Yeah.
But of course, if you get more and more of this happening, you can create a much greater mix of this happily unstoppable. And so, when you think about, so you started the gyms, really looking at fitness, and they've started to morph into this whole wellness story for women around the country. So as you do that, this thinking is going on with you all the time.
Yeah.
And you're in a transition. You're moving out of the CEO role and chair of the board.
Yeah.
Your former manager of operations, I think, is the CEO now. So there's a pre-existing relationship there. Would you, as a founder CEO who's going to then transition back to governance and oversight, and somebody else is going to run a business operationally for you, would you hire externally, or do you think you needed someone from within the business who knew you and knew how you thought about things?
Well, I have in the past hired externally.
Yeah.
And that was a mistake, and the franchisee said, please come back. So I did. That was probably because I didn't have the right person. But I know that I've got being a founder and owning this business for such a long time, and it being my baby, it's not an easy thing to hand over to somebody else and expect them to put up with me, still looking over their shoulder. It's not like you sell the business, you're still there, and so you've got every right to have a look over their shoulder, but it's a delicate balance of being mindful of where the boundaries lie with that. So it was ideal for me to have Belinda, who's been with me for many years, and we know each other very well. And we've had, I think, over 12 months of conversations about this role before it actually happened. It wasn't an overnight thing. We did a lot of practicing. We had a few hissy fits and say, get out of my kitchen and you get out of my kitchen. But we worked it all out, and it couldn't be better now. We've got a good understanding. And she's very respectful of me and I'm very respectful of her. And it's worked out perfectly. To find that person externally very, very difficult. I'm not saying it's not possible, but very difficult. What she brings to the table, she understands what Fernwood's all about. She understands what I'm all about. She understands the culture of how we run as an organisation. So
Yeah.
I couldn't be happier.
Yeah. And I guess if you hire externally, which, is a preference for many people, if you hire externally, the hissy fits and overlaps have to occur within the dynamic of that board
Yeah,
chair to CEO relationship, as opposed to
yeah,
CEO to manager relationship, where
yeah,
you get to
yeah.
test you get to test when the stakes are not quite as high.
Yeah, so that's exactly right. Exactly. And look, I could have hired externally and found somebody brilliant, but I
Yeah.
don't think I would have found anybody as brilliant as Belinda. And maybe I would have, maybe I wouldn't have. But I'm very happy
Yeah.
with what she's doing.
Let's talk about somebody who's maybe in startup phase or early stage of a business, um, male or female, it doesn't matter. Um, you published a book in 2000, so that's 25 years ago now,
Mm.
called The Women's Club. So it's probably time
Yeah.
for another book. But imagine you're talking to someone who's in startup phase or very early stage, and you're going to download the best of your hard-earned lessons with them.
Yeah.
What's
You need a
and
big hard drive for that.
yes, I'm sure. I'm just going to try and shape it with a couple of
Okay.
directed questions.
All right.
Is there a single biggest insight that you realized you had along the way that just keeps showing back up in terms of, informing you and
Mm.
keeping it focused? Is
Yeah.
there something significant that keeps showing back up again over and
I
over?
think that there is one thing that I've always lived by, and that is that 98% of the things we worry about never happen.
Right.
So I don't tend to worry about things very much. I think if I can fix it or change it, I will. If I can't fix it or change it, I won't. But I don't dwell on anything. And usually I think if something I was worried about 2 days ago, I can't even remember what that would have been. So they don't happen. People worry and they can't help it. I mean, I'm just who I am, but unnecessary worry can be quite destroying when it comes to being able to move forward. When you worry about this and worry about that, and then usually most things people worry about don't happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fascinating, because the other side of that, of course, is every bit of energy you're putting into something that you're worried about but can't control
Yeah.
is energy you're not putting into the things that you can do
Exactly
something
right.
about.
Exactly. And yes, there's some people that won't get out of bed in the morning because they think the floor won't be there. And there's some
Yeah.
people who jump out of an aeroplane. Well, so you've got to be sensible, but worrying a little bit, but unnecessary worry can be quite debilitating.
Sure. What have you learnt about the market and marketing? I mean, literally, an unused classroom, letters sent to hairdressers, and you found a niche and then recognized power in that niche. But Fernwood now is a much, much larger company, and
Mm.
does a whole different level of marketing now. So you've
Yeah.
probably learned some things about marketing over the years. And what I'm really interested in is things that you've learned about being very connected to
Mm.
the specific niche that you serve. You
Mm.
spoke about your members defend Fernwood. You
Yeah.
obviously do marketing that really gets you connected to the niche you serve. What are your big marketing lessons been?
Yeah, well, I think it's funny, because when I did send those letters to the hairdressers, that was kind of social media before social media was
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
And now it's social media, isn't that's what you do. You create communities within the digital world,
yeah,
and communicate with our members. I'm not much of a one for spending a whole lot of money on advertising and promises. Um, I think that our members are our greatest advocates, so we use
yeah.
them for our marketing.
Yeah, yeah. And have you've obviously built significant loyalty programs inside Fernwood,
Yeah.
and Do you have a conscious and deliberate referral system within the business for members to be able to bring people to
Uh,
Fernwood?
we do it from time to time, but not on a regular basis. It's more of a, we might have a bit of a referral drive or something. Most of our members, we don't like to ask them to bring a friend. We hope that they will. So member referral should come from the heart of the member, not because we ask them to or
Yeah.
pay them to.
So, what are you seeing competitors in your space doing? Because you created a category, and then that get other people enter it, right? So, what are you seeing competitors in your space doing that, as you see them do it, a little part of your brain goes, "Well, I'm happy about that." That.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, basically, yes. Uh,
you know,
As I said, I'm always aware of what all of our competitors do. Although I must say, I don't really consider them to be real competitors because we do have our niche.
yeah.
But there are certain things that they do that I think, well, that was a little bit silly. I don't know why they did that, but I do what I do well, and yeah,
And
they do,
stick to it.
and stick to it. That's
Stick to
it.
it. Absolutely. What the last question is about ambition.
Mm.
A friend of mine, Dan Sullivan, who is the founder of Strategic Coach, a very large business coaching business in the US, has an interesting take on ambition. He thinks ambition is an attribute. It's not something you learn, it's something you have or you don't have. And interestingly, his view is, rather than setting goals, why don't you just set a goal to be more ambitious this year than you were last year?
Mm.
Which is a very interesting way of thinking about the world.
Yeah.
He's 81 and he wants to be more ambitious at 90 than he is at 81.
Yeah, I like that. I like
Um,
that. Yeah.
so you obviously had ambition at
Mm.
at the start
Mm.
because you went out and found an unused classroom and thought, I'm going to open a gym, right?
Mm.
What would you say to someone young who's got this big idea, but you're not seeing the ambition there yet? You're not seeing the first brush on the canvas. You're not seeing
Yeah, yeah,
the test of ambition is, did you do something, right?
yeah. Well, it is. They've also got like you've got the naysayers around you. Oh,
Yeah.
don't do that because that won't work because are you sure you're going to do that? I'm not sure that that's a good idea. What about this? What about that? You've got all those people telling you not to do it. So you have to basically, I think, have confidence in your own ambition and your own whatever it is that you want to do and what your own vision.
Yeah.
That if you really believe that it's something, take the first step. Don't just, you know, be frightened because other people are frightened.
Mm.
Because they don't. When I first started Fernwood, yeah, people said to me last 6 months, give me 6 months. And when I started franchising, same thing. No, don't do that. Don't do that. And that's not a good thing to tell me because then it makes me want to do it even
So
more.
what's something that a franchise consultant or a franchise expert told you about franchising, and
Mm.
you thought, that's ridiculous, I'm not doing that? That's the most unsound advice someone's given me. Was there anything that sprung to mind?
Um, Not really. I don't think from a franchise consultant. I've had people tell me it won't work because franchises go broke,
Yeah.
but yeah, I can't think of anything. No.
Yeah, yeah, fascinating. Well, Di, I'd love to wrap up with three quick questions, if
Mm-hmm.
if you're game.
Back.
And then we'll end the podcast. But what's the we have more access to information than we've ever had before, and we're foolish if we don't use it. What's the latest book that you've read and really enjoyed and been able to get benefit out of, perhaps from a business point of view?
Oh, from a business
Well,
point of
actually,
view,
not just
well,
business. It could be business, self-development, that sort of thing. Not
yeah,
a novel.
not a novel. No. Well, look, I have been reading this book, and it's a very fascinating book, and I've got it on Audible, so I can't even tell you what the name of it is, but it's about China versus the United States in artificial intelligence.
Oh, interesting.
I can't remember the name of it. It's such a fascinating book because this guy is talking about how the United States have, Silicon Valley and what they're developing and what China are doing, and how China is probably going to become much more advanced in the future. They take what Americans have done and expanded on it.
Well, AI has changed the world.
Yeah,
It's crazy that
so much
ChatGPT
so.
really only launched in November of 2022.
I live with it every day.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I use it every day, every single day, not once, all day. Well,
yeah.
not all day, but if I'm doing something, I just go there. Yeah.
Just as a side conversation, how do you think AI is going to change the gym and fitness world?
It's going to make us a little bit more smart with regard to what we need to do and when we need to do it. There'll be, but not a lot really. It's going to help us sort of learn more about our bodies, but
Yes.
I can't see it's going to make a big difference in that world.
Well, it's not going to replace community, right?
No, and it's not going to make your muscles get any. Uh, well, maybe there could be some things developed because of it. I mean, AI with medicine, for instance, is going to be remarkable what it's going to
Yes.
do. So maybe I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Do you have a personal philosophy or saying that kind of guides a lot of what you do and think about on a day-to-day basis?
I have to say it's 98% of the things that you think about don't happen. That's my philosophy. I've been on by many, but that's probably the main one that gets me through.
Yeah, 98% of what you worry about isn't going to
Yep.
happen.
Not going to happen. Yeah. It's
Perfect.
probably 99% to be truthful.
Well, you invented a category of business in Australia,
Yeah.
literally. You invented a whole category.
Mm.
And you've innovated inside that industry sector. You've brought differences to the way franchising is done. Is there anything in the world you would love to have been the inventor of because of what it
Mm.
is, the difference it's made? It interests you.
Yeah. Oh, well, artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
That one, that's a big one.
yeah.
Yes, whoever, I mean, that is so life-changing. The world will never be the same because of that.
No,
Hmm.
no. It would be interesting, for example, to be known as the person that created the internet.
Yeah,
It would be
yeah,
interesting to be known as the person that created the computer.
yeah. Hmm.
To be known as the early developer of AI will be interesting. The,
The
the
person who,
judgments of,
the
pardon?
person who found the cure for cancer.
Yeah, that would be good. That
Yeah,
would be good. Oh, yeah,
yeah.
fantastic.
The person who, or the solution to domestic violence in the world.
Mm,
How about that?
mm.
That'd be good.
People-driven things.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Di, it's been delightful. Thank you. I can remember Fernwood launching. I can remember the court cases that you were in and everything else because I'm of an age that allows me to do that. And it's just been fascinating being able to talk to you and get a sense of what was behind the story and even where it started. And the takeout for anyone listening to or watching the podcast, this started in an unused classroom in Bendigo without a business plan, but it was driven by something that you needed, you knew you wanted, and you thought other people might want. So a niche with demand. And within 6 months you had to move, and in 4 years, 14 locations, and the rest, as they say, is history, with, I guess, a whole lot of unplanned learning along the way, to keep driving the business forward and constantly innovating, so that it serves the customer and actually your franchisees, the people that are delivering it for you. It's been wonderful unpacking it with you and stepping through it. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. It's been lovely chatting with you, Simon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.